All right, how's everybody doing today? Hope you're all having a great day. Hope your weekend's been all right. So, just a couple things here. Um, we left off here looking at the 10 days from the marriage, right? Now, again, in the script, the Bible, it talks about an appointed time. So I don't know if that's uh, because there's also the days will be shortened. And like I've said before, I'm not sure if that means shortened from the appointed time, or if it's just because things are really sped up right now, right? Weeks are just flying by. So, you know, but one of the other things I do want to get into is this right here. And people who have watched my videos for a while now, I talk about this Hopi prophecy rock all the time, right? And I want to show something very interesting. So, like I said, we're dealing with the 4 windows of time. This is the process box, right? If you look on a flow chart, this is the process center. Here we have, to me, this is a destruction, so to speak. But both these are sitting midline. Then you have the break, and you have above the line. And I think this is where we're at. I think this is, sitting on the event horizon, And I think this signifies the marriage where everything's made whole again. And now we're just doing our time, so to speak, till we drop in here. The other thing I'm looking at is this right here, okay? Because I think this is big too. Okay, I've talked about how the swastika has been around for a long time. Now it was adopted, so to speak, right, by the Nazis in World War II. So I think that signifies the coming in at the end of World War II window. Okay? This right here we're going to get into, and this right here we're going to get into, because this right here, I do believe, signifies, okay, so, in the Bible it talks about the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, and I've discussed this before, right? Coming out of the seas, the oceans, and the oceans are symbolic of space, right? But not necessarily space like, aliens. I think it's just, the time travel, the space-time that they came from. Okay, and I think this right here is significant as well. I'm going to go over that here in just a second. So, when we do the whole space-time thing, I've mentioned the Star Trek episode, The Alternative Factor. And this right here kind of looks like a spaceship, but that's how in this show they move between dimensions, is right here. And in like Time Cop, right, they have a little sled that they shoot down, okay? So I think that's all that signifies, is just where they came from in space-time, and I find it odd that they have this moon-looking thing sitting right here in these. Okay, so let's go back to this thing right here. Okay, this is another symbol that has been around for a long time. But it was adopted, so to speak, the Bronze Age people, dating back to 1400 BCE and earlier. The Neolithic and Bronze Age. Okay, and it was also adopted by the Celts and the Norsemen. Okay, so when we're reading in the stories about certain events taking place at, like, 480 BCE and 800, okay, I think that's where that comes from. I think that was one of our, if we say leaps in time, if we will, from here to here and now to here. So if we go to the 10 days from the wedding, all this being restored, because I think that's what happened. Everything's kind of been restored, so to speak, to what it was original. It's just waiting for us to write out. And this is where it gets kind of iffy, so to speak, because, again, is it an exact appointed time when this is going to happen, like the script says, or the day's going to be shortened? Because, like, today, come sundown, right, we'll mark the end of the third day. We also have, man on the 6th day. We also have the great 8th day. All those days fall within that 10-day window. So, again, not sure there. But this is one I find really... okay, so let's talk to this guy right here. Okay. And a lot of these decodes, right, people are talking about the crescent moon. And if you invert that, okay, let's just do it this way. The moon phase on August 23rd is going to be this waxing gibbous, okay? A lot of people have talked about, the 10-4. Okay, so that potentially is your 10-4 that was on various clocks, and people who watch the decoding know what I'm talking about, this 10-4. And so there's your crescent moon. That's what it's going to look like. And the reason it's not the bright with the dark crescent moon, because again, this has to do with the light and the dark and bringing some of the dark with us. Right? And this is just another on the 23rd, 80%, but it also, I think somewhere in here, maybe this isn't the one. But I just find that kind of interesting that, we have the, what people would call a crescent, a sliver, right? Of course, it's inverted. And we have our 10-4 right here. So, does that actually make it, that appointed time? Or is it going to be shortened to that 8th day, the 6th day, or even at the end of the 3rd day? Personally, I'm still leaning more towards, we're going to get down into here, because that matches all the other decoding that's gone on. Talking about the crescent moon, which, yeah, we don't call it that, but that is what it is if you look at it from an inverted, so to speak, perspective. So, again, just some stuff to think about. And this I found very funny because, like I said, I've been looking, and I don't stare at this rock. I don't, I stay busy in the world, here lately, rebuilding motors, working on boats, blah, blah, blah. I mean, hell, that's how I broke my hand. So, I stay plenty busy. That's why when I do research, I'm zipping through videos at 3 times speed. Although I did take some time, I got to give a big shout out to my brother Raven Keeper over there. He had an awesome live last night. We spent about an hour talking with him, but he's very insightful too. We used to do those podcasts, a little esoteric. He sees from his own perspective, you know, a lot of similarities, the stuff we talk about. He has his own unique perspective on it. And it just is what it is. So I will spend time, you know, doing stuff like that. But the rest of the time, it's it's just, you know, I'm busy working. I'm busy with Maisie. But I did take a minute. I was just looking at that, and I thought, well, I'm going to look up, you know, what this other symbol means, where it came into history at. You know, just like the swastika, it's been around a long time, but everybody recognizes it from a particular period and meaning a certain thing. And apparently, so, you know, is the other one right in here. So again, it is what it is. Just some crazy stuff that came to me, and I don't know. This is looking like a good day here. I don't know. We'll see, right? Like I always say, it is what it is, and time will tell. So yeah, enjoy what's left of the weekend. Hope you have a great week coming up. I'm sure it's gonna be even crazier with the weather and, you know, just the stuff we deal with here until we do get to that end point. So hold on loosely. I love you all. Take care. Bye bye.